Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. Welcome, one and all, to the Dukes of Gaming podcast. Thank you for choosing to hang with us for the next hour and some change as we take you into the world of video games. You can find us on your favorite podcast service. Watch us live on Twitch. You can find us on YouTube. Watch us later as well. Whatever floats your gaming boat. And as always, I have the pleasure of being joined by my fellow Dukes of Gaming, but also a special guest. We have Mr. Dave Jackson from Tales of the Backlog. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing good, man. Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Glad to have you, man. Glad you can join us.
Yeah,
it's been way too long.
Yeah, that's right. Alfredo was on my show like 9 months ago or something like that. So it's good to finally make this happen.
Yeah, circle back. We played The Messenger. Forgot how
did.
good of a game that was.
It's a good ass game.
Yeah,
Hey, I'm not mad at you for making me play it. So,
and Dave is helping me. He's helping me hold down the 80s too. He's an 80s.
That's right.
Baby.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a 90s versus 80s thing going on, I guess. Me and Alfredo on the bottom two.
Yeah,
with your Nickelodeon shirt. How that
go? You already know. And joining me, of course, is my fellow Dukes of Gaming. First and foremost, we have our Nintendo hater that plays all of his games on the hardest mode. He is the Duke of Education, Alfredo. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm also really happy that I got to go before Cole. So continuing the streak of being introduced almost first, guest first, but I'll take a close second.
Well, you only got it because we're 90s and we have to be together. We have to band together.
I'll take that. That's fine.
But second foremost, he is our law expert, headband expert, business expert. But more importantly, he is the Duke of Rocket League, Cole. It's been a while. How you doing today, sir?
Can't claim that title anymore. I'm retired. I'm so bad at Rocket League now. Like I can't even believe it. I played yesterday for the first time, and it's bad, y'all. I don't even want to. Just take my title away from him.
He's the Duke of to be determined.
Duke of babies.
Oh, well, we have to start this podcast with the age-old gamer question. Of course, that question is, what have we been playing this week? I'll go first because I haven't been on in a while. I've had, some stuff going on, but I'm here now. I played a good amount of games since then. One's not on the list, but two, we're going to talk about one for the main topic. One that I'm not going to talk about today because we're going to also have a spoiler cast really soon. When is that, Alfredo?
It is going to be released next week for A Plague's Tale Requiem.
Yes, sir.
Requiem. Can't say the word.
Requiem.
But,
like Requiem for a Dream. Oh, what's that movie?
For a Dream? What is it?
I think
Requiem
it's
for a Dream.
Requiem for a
Yeah.
Dream.
Yes. Dave can say it, see.
Definitely not as good of a game as that movie is a movie.
Oh, we're gonna have fighting words.
But look,
He's
that's a great movie. That's a great movie.
And it's a great game. Spoiler alert. Great game.
we shall have a very vibrant debate, so make sure you stay tuned for that debate next week. But I'll hold my thoughts on that. All I'll say about that game is it is very hard playing that game at the same time as playing the other game I've been playing. But we'll get to that in a little bit. The game I do want to talk about extendedly right now is Bayonetta 2, not 3. I thought about buying Bayonetta 3, and I said there's no way I can justify paying $60 for a game that I haven't played the predecessor to.
Okay, that's fair. I thought you were going to go another way and be like, I can't support, I don't even know the voice actor's name or whatever.
I jumped off that train as soon as the reviews were provided. But no, nothing like that. I am going to buy it at some point. I don't know if it's going to be this year, but I am going to at some point play Bayonetta 3 based on the experience I had with Bayonetta 2. So I played Bayonetta 1 a long time ago, played it multiple times since then, loved the game, but I didn't have a Wii U for a long time, so I wasn't going to buy Bayonetta 2.
Wait, this game was only on the Wii U?
For a very long time.
What?
For a while, yeah.
Exclusive to the Bay. I'm sorry,
One of the it's like one of the
Crazy.
4 Wii U games. Yeah.
right.
ever existed.
So I had gotten the Bayonetta collection on Switch I got it the same day that Black Panther 1 was released. So whenever that was.
Very specific, but go on.
I literally bought it that same night. And I played through Bayonetta 1 again, had a great time. Started Bayonetta 2, but never went through it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to actually get through this game. And my God, this game feels like such a big expansion of the first one. And even though it's, at this stage, almost 10 years old, like it looks really good for a Wii U era game. The art design is impeccable. The combat is impeccable. The story is shit. Not gonna mince words about that. The story is great. Not the best Loki I've encountered in video games this week for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I love this game. Like I really do think that Bayonetta 2 is one of the better action fighting 3D fighting action. I don't know what that genre is specifically called.
Character action.
Thank you, sir. Character action.
Yeah.
The Devil May Cries of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Even something like Strangers of Paradise, I guess, kind of like within to it a
Now
little
you're
bit.
talking crazy. Well, they are very same games. Definitely Devil May Cry.
Yeah, I think that something like Strangers of Paradise Neo is the evolution of that genre.
Mm-hmm.
Bayonetta 2 is definitely more so a throwback of this. And man, like it's just a great game. Highly recommended if you own a Switch or a Wii U. If you own a Wii U, it's time to upgrade.
Yeah.
But if you do happen to own a Wii U, nothing else, just know you do have a single great game on here. So enjoy it.
Dave, you played Bayonetta 2?
I've played all 3 now. Yeah. Bayonetta 2 is my favorite by far. By far my favorite. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's like he was saying. It's the action is like incredible in Bayonetta 2. The story is dog shit crazy, but like I don't know how you feel. Like in my opinion, it's a good bad story.
Yeah, I enjoyed my time with it the whole way. I could recognize it's horrible. No. Come on, there's good anime.
I'm just saying.
It felt like horrible anime. It felt like have you ever seen Records of Ragnarok?
Yes, I have.
It's like that level of storytelling to me. But I enjoyed that anime.
Yeah.
Because it's just batshit insane.
Mm-hmm. That's how Bayonetta should be.
Right. And I heard 3 kind of goes into a different direction.
It's yeah. I don't want to turn this into a Bayonetta 3 like bashing. I just beat it like a week ago though, so my feelings are still fresh. That game is maybe like give yourself some space after Bayonetta 2. Wait for a sale on Bayonetta 3 because
it's not coming.
On that Switch, never gonna happen.
I mean, it's like it's the parts where you're playing as Bayonetta, fighting as Bayonetta are still really fun, really really fun. But that's like 30% of that game, and that ratio is a terrible ratio for a Bayonetta game. You know what I mean?
So I wasn't in the marketing.
No. We all got swept up in the voice acting controversy, and then like the game dropped, and everyone's like, "I'm gonna go buy Bayonetta 3 now because
out of principle."
They pulled out the receipts. She got caught in her lie. I'm gonna buy that game, and then it's pretty rough. I'll be honest with you.
Man, okay.
Yeah.
Dang.
So give yourself
the right
space.
choice.
Yeah, give it a wait for a sale, I think.
Yeah, I will. I'm looking. I definitely feel like I do need to take some time before I play another game in that genre.
Mm-hmm.
I'm good for one of those a year.
Yeah,
because it's not turn your brain off per se, but it's just let your instincts take you. Yeah. That's how those games kind of operate. So I only really play one of those per year. This year happened to be Bayonetta 2. Glad I did. I honestly feel like this has a case to be made of it being the best like character action game of all time.
Really?
I think it's on that short list. Like there are a lot of games on that list, you know, like I'm sorry, this game is better than Devil May Cry 3.
Have you got that's what I was about to ask. Because I haven't played it. I've only played Bayonetta 1, which I never really got into because I played it like 10 years after it actually came out and I never finished it. Right. But is Bayonetta 2 better than, have you guys played like Devil May Cry 5, for example? Because that's a good.
I played through half of that game, and it's not a disservice to that game. I played it on PS4. Mm-hmm. And then once it got the PS5 upgrade, like Lizard Brain and me was like, well, I don't want to play it anymore because it's only $30,000.
That's the only way I played it. So that's why I'm asking.
So from what I played of that game, I prefer Bayonetta 2. Yeah. But if I played that on PC at like 120 frames per second, maybe that would change my point of view. Mm-hmm. I doubt I'm ever going to do that. So now, Bayonetta 2 for me is my favorite of these character action games, and I think is on the short list for the greatest of them of all time. That's what it says in the Wikipedia article.
I think for me 1A 1B is Bayonetta 2 and Metal Gear Rising, which is also Platinum Games, same company. That game rules. It's so good.
I forgot about that game.
And Nier Automata, also Platinum Games, but the combat's scaled back quite a bit in that game. That's not why you're playing that game.
Yeah, you want the story, the world building, all that.
Yeah. I do have a question. Is that Nier Replicant on your shelf?
Oh, it is. I just picked that up. I'm gonna play it soon for my show. Yeah.
Whoa, you guys have some eagle eyes over here.
I have a mirror in here. What's going on?
I was trying to figure that out. I was trying to figure out what that game was. That PS4.
That's Nier Replicant.
I'm not even trying to anime for no reason. I'm not like when I see some anime, I'll scope it out. I see.
That's true. I'll never question your credentials again, sir.
He was like locked in.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. That's all I've been playing that I could really talk about. I am embargoed for the rest, so I will give it to our special guests. Go ahead, Dave. What have you been playing this week?
Yeah, so I've been playing a couple things for my show. I've been playing Final Fantasy IX. It is my second time playing that show. It won a vote for what game's going to be on the show.
Yeah, it did.
So I did not like that game the first time I played it, which was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I like it a lot more this time, and I think I'm just like in a better headspace to just kind of slow down and take in the story, because that's the kind of game where, like, those old JRPGs, like if you're not into the story, like a lot of those games mechanically are pretty old at this point. The story and the characters are resonating with me a lot more this time. So Final Fantasy IX, I'm playing the original Metal Gear Solid for the first time.
First time?
Yeah, first time. As I had a PlayStation when I was a kid, but I only played Spyro for like a year, and then we got rid of it. So
Oh,
I missed all PlayStation until PS4, basically.
Ooh, that's
So
a big gap.
yeah, so I'm playing the original Metal Gear Solid, and this happens to me every time I boot up a game from like before 2006, basically, where this is before controls became standardized, and I boot up this game and I'm like, how do I even move in this game? How do I shoot? What is shoot square in this game? Is shoot a gun?
Yep.
So it's a little bit of an adjustment, but once I got used to that, like you can get used to weird controls. Like we're adults, we can handle it. And I'm really liking it. It's like I like how just over the top and stupid and not really taking itself too seriously it is. The only other Kojima game I've played is Death Stranding. Before.
Did you like it?
I love that game. Yeah.
Really?
So yeah, I loved it. But yeah, Metal Gear Solid. I'm having a good time. It's a pleasant surprise because I don't often like a lot of older games.
So you missed out on all of PS2, PS3 generation?
Yeah.
What were you doing? Where were you at?
I was playing Xbox and Nintendo.
Oh
no! I couldn't.
Well,
I couldn't afford all the consoles.
So PlayStation 2 was a massive one to miss out on.
Yeah, I know. And I only got into that stuff late, like real late. Like the only PS2 games I got to play were stuff that my college roommates had, basically. So like Final Fantasy X and like Guitar Hero. That's basically it.
You were on that.
What were you about to say, Thomas? What was your dig about?
Yeah, what were you
I just maybe I'm going to throw this out there. Like, are you really missing much with PlayStation 2?
Oh my God! Seriously,
a lot,
dude.
Are you missing much? Like, what games from PlayStation 2 are we actively playing? You know what I'm saying? Like,
you missed the whole GTA series because it wasn't on Xbox.
Okay, that's a fair one.
Maybe San Andreas.
No, it was on Xbox.
Yeah, San Andreas and Vice City were for sure on Xbox.
But GTA 3 and Vice City were exclusive. Like GTA 3 was a launch solely on PlayStation, and so was Vice City for a while. I don't think it launched day and date on Xbox.
What? Oh, all I'm saying,
and you missed Final Fantasy X,
and
you missed Final Fantasy X too.
You don't need that either.
I'm just kidding.
Right, Alfredo, let's not say things we can't take back, man. Final Fantasy.
He's been on this train for a while.
I'm the conductor on the train.
Okay, all right.
He is leading that hate campaign for Final Fantasy. I've tried to talk him out of it because look, Cole is on the side of it's one of the greatest games of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the camp of I have a really good memory of it.
MGS2,
Final Fantasy 10.
Oh yeah.
So I'm on the camp of I played it a long time ago and had a good experience, and I feel like if I go back to it, I might be on Alfredo's side, so I refuse to do it.
Okay.
And my side is one of the worst games ever made.
Okay, well, Final Fantasy X, that's my favorite Final Fantasy game.
Thank you.
Of the like, I think I've played like 9 or 10 of them at this point. It's my favorite.
Which one's your favorite? Like 10 is your favorite in terms of the world, or is it the characters as well?
Or just everything.
I think the story and I think it undeniably has the best turn-based combat in the series.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
okay,
sure.
One of these days, guys.
That is
one of these days.
You know what? I don't think that's even controversial. I do like 10's actual combat a lot better. Because I love 7, but I've never loved 7's like combat.
Yeah.
It's standard, right?
I like 9's a lot. 9's is cool, but not more than 10's.
All the way up until 10, it's basically the same combat in every game, except for 8, because 8's doing the weird stuff.
The R1 trigger button and all that. But this is crazy. I'm not going to go into this right now because we got a show to do. But one of these days, first of all, I'm sorry, but you and Cole are wrong. And 2, one of these days, we need to do some sort of like Final Fantasy X debate because this is getting ridiculous.
Well, no. Okay? Well, I will say this. You're in the minority on this because Final Fantasy X is honestly, it's ranked Metacritic's 92. It's the second best Final Fantasy game.
All I'm saying is, okay, question. I know there's 3 people. You haven't played it for a while, but Dave, when was the last time you played it? Have you played it for your show?
Not for my show yet, but I did play it like 2 years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
I will say the number one.
It only reinforced my opinion that it's my
2
favorite.
years is pretty recent, actually.
We'll
talk.
I'll give you a win on this, though. This will be the last thing I say. The number one game on Metacritic, the number one Final Fantasy game is 9.
Well, yeah, because it's the best one.
But 10.
Fair enough. The last game that I got is one that Alfredo said he never heard of, so I got to explain. It's Hardspace Shipbreaker. So the rest of you guys heard of this?
No.
No. Okay, it's on Game Pass. So if you got Game Pass, you can hop in. It's a first person. It's like it looks like a first person shooter, but all you're doing is using a cutting tool and like a gravity gun to take apart spaceships.
Huh.
And it's got this kind of sci-fi corporate dystopian setting. Your character basically signs over their consciousness to work off their debt. They're put inside this robot body, and you go out and you get a ship, and you bring up your scanner, and you look at all the points where you make cuts, and you systematically, like over the course of like an hour and a half now with these advanced ships, you take these ships apart, and it is the most like soothing, like relaxing game, except every now and then you have explosive decompressions and fire hazards and nuclear reactor meltdowns because you got a little careless with the cutting tool, so it's one of those. It's turned into like I want to play a game and listen to a podcast. It's like a perfect game for that, because you're focusing on your cuts and like moving around and stuff. But other than that, there's not a story that you need to be paying attention to. You can turn the game music down and turn up a podcast. It's really good. Like, I find this game infinitely satisfying, and it's like, it's weird to say that, like, I'll come home from work and then go to work in this game, but it's like really relaxing. I really, really like it.
It sounds very much like a Power Wash Simulator kind of experience.
I was just about to say that. Yeah.
Kind of the same. It's probably less relaxing than Power Wash Simulator, because in Power Wash you don't have like I said, explosive decompressions. Right. But other than that, yeah, it is super relaxing. I dig it.
Okay. It definitely sounds like, have you ever played, Power Wash Simulator, but also like PC Building Simulator, car building mechanic? It sounds like one of the sim games. Is it, or are you literally just taking apart the spaceships?
No, it's all you're doing is you get spaceships of like increasing complexity. So like the first spaceship you get is all just like cuts and pieces and no hazards whatsoever. And then they slowly build up the complexity until like the level that I'm at now, which is like maybe 2/3 of the way through the game. The ships are really complex, and you have to be really careful to not cause some kind of explosion and damage the pieces and stuff. So it like kind of relaxes me while at the same time activating like problem solving brain. So I'm having a really good time with it.
I love that. I saw that on Game Pass. Like I saw I just Googled it and I see the picture. And I've seen that picture definitely when I scroll Game Pass. So I might just download that. It looks like something right up my alley. I love Power Wash Simulator. If this wasn't such a good year in game, Power Wash Simulator would be a top 5 game for me. But
I had a good time with that one too. Yeah, only buyer beware thing with Hardspace Shipbreaker is it's a 0G all the time. So you're like constantly like moving on all these axes, and then you can rotate your character. And if you get motion sickness from 0G stuff in games, it might kick in. So it gets me sometimes, and I have to take a break, but it's worth it. It's really good.
We're VR vets.
I think so you're good.
I think we'll be good. I think we'll be good.
VR. We got this.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Well, good. That's a great list of games. I didn't really get much to talk about Metal Gear. Just a question. What are you playing that on?
Emulating the original PlayStation version.
Any mods, or just playing it straight up?
Nope, nothing. If I'm gonna go back and play like an old console game, and because it's for my show, I'm trying to give like a critical,
authentic experience,
look at it. So I don't want to mod it up just for that.
Respect to that. Well,
fair.
Good luck with that. I love that game. I haven't played it in a while, so I definitely might have to tune in for that.
Yeah, that's going to be coming in maybe February. That episode will be out. So yeah.
And where can we find that episode at?
That's on my podcast, Tales from the Backlog, which is found wherever you listen to podcasts.
And it is a great show.
Right.
Can you actually describe your show?
Sure, yeah. So Tales from the Backlog is most of the time every week is focusing on one game, and we deep dive it. And the thing about my show is that we deep dive it with no spoilers for quite a while. First hour hour and a half sometimes in episodes, there's absolutely no spoilers because I want people to be able to listen and hear what makes a game special, what makes a game worth playing or not worth playing sometimes, without being spoiled, and having to worry about that. And then every episode I mark in the show notes a very specific timestamp where the spoilers begin. So after that point, it's fair game. We, take the gloves off, full spoilers. But before that, it's absolutely spoiler free. So yeah, every episode is a different game, and then sometimes there's topic discussions and stuff. Because I can't beat 5 games a month. That's insanity.
Fair.
Let me ask you this: are there any parameters for how you choose your games?
It's now that I have a Patreon page going, sometimes I do votes for what games, but the games are all games that I want to play, and most of the time there's stuff that's in my backlog already. Aside from, stuff like the game we're talking about today, Ragnarok, that was automatic. And it's like, I want to play Ragnarok, so I'm just going to buy it, play it, and then I'll do an episode about it later. Like, it's like that. So I'm not really going through like any lists or really beholden to anybody else. It's all stuff I want to play.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That is awesome. Well, I'm definitely gonna be checking it out. Any Duke that's listening, make sure you check out Tales of the Backlog.
That's
It
true.
is
And
awesome.
if you want a good place to start, like I said, you go find my episode on the Messenger, and Alfredo was on that episode.
I definitely have to check that one out because I love that game.
It was great.
So good
Great.
to hear. Speaking of Alfredo, what have you been playing this week, sir?
I've been busy with God of War Ragnarok, which we'll talk about in a bit, but I finally also went back to this game that I have not beaten, a little game called Horizon Forbidden West, which, as you guys know, is the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn. I think that's what it's called. But yeah,
Yep.
So all the way back in January, I decided to play the first one and the second one back to back. And I just fell off of it. As you guys know, it's not that I didn't like it. I loved it. Everything about it was great. I just, Elden Ring came out, and then my life was over pretty much.
Everybody's life was over when that came out.
And then I just never got back to it. I did get like 20 hours into it, and then after that, I just fell off the train. So finally, this past week, I got back on the train, decided to start this game back up, and I'm really, really enjoying it. The first thing I noticed is that I was immediately reminded how beautiful this game is. I really don't think there's another game out there that like even compares. Maybe Last of Us, like Part 2, but like they're so different because Horizon Forbidden West is like all about the vibrant, beautiful tropical rainforest kind of colors. So it's just beautiful.
The only thing I'll say to that, I do agree with you. The problem I have with the visuals of that game is like, what's the color palette? And the answer is yes.
Everything.
Like that's
It's everything.
it's like that game is so colorful all the time.
That's a great thing. Well, for me.
Here's like we'll get to it in our next topic. But I do think there is an art to using a color palette selectively in certain areas. And I feel like Horizon, for better or for worse, utilizes its color palette in every single frame at every single time in the game.
Yeah, that's definitely true. The artist had a field day with just what they were able to do in this game, and I think it's what makes the game shine. Just because
Literally.
One of the reasons why I did fall off the game was, even though it's a great game, it's a great sequel, the story is not enthralling like I want a narrative-driven game to be. You're in this huge open world, and there's just so many things to do. This game, I talked about it so many times, where this game would benefit so much from like a Monster Hunter world type of experience, where it's literally Monster Hunter, but you're just hunting robot dinosaurs, because this is the best. Like, I have so much fun just hunting dinosaurs for different parts and stuff, so I love doing that and taking parts in the different hunts and stuff. The story, though, is kind of it feels like the second part of a trilogy is the problem. Like, it doesn't feel like it's not urgent enough to like stand on its own. It kind of feels like, yeah, we're doing this as like an in between. like this isn't going to be the conclusion. I haven't even finished the game, but it feels like that.
But the thing I have a problem with, because I do agree with you, but when I think of some of the greatest like movie trilogies of all time, the second movie is usually the best one.
Yeah.
You think fair. Like this is not controversial, but Lord of the Rings, I feel the Two Towers best one. I feel like the Empire Strikes Back is the best of that. I feel like the Dark Knight's the best out of that. I feel like Godfather Part 2 is like, you know, you can go really far down. Like the second one is usually when you are at the apex of your story. I feel like with this, it's a step back from Zero Dawn's story.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just
not much.
They're on the same level. Just one's on maybe a step higher, just one step higher than Zero Dawn is.
Yeah, I agree. But the gameplay improvements that they did add for Forbidden West, like, definitely take it above and beyond. It just feels like, you know, okay, I'm playing the second game. It feels like a continuation of Horizon, you know, Zero Dawn, just with, you know, better gameplay mechanic. Everything that I wanted, it's just not like, chef's kiss. But I feel like I'm nitpicking on it, you know, to the point where, like, this is a great game. I'm having a lot of time with it, and I will finish this game in time for Game of the Year discussions. So hopefully the ending, it sticks its landing, and maybe I'll sing praises about it over another game that we're going to be talking about in a little bit. But yeah, getting through that game, we'll be done soon.
Nice. Let me ask you, like, so I played Zero Dawn. Yeah, I played that. I haven't played Forbidden West yet. Is the open world like more interesting to explore in Forbidden West than the first game? Because that was
definitely
one of the things I like the first game a lot, but I almost thought that didn't need to be an open world game because it was just empty. And I was wondering about the sequel because I've heard that it improves a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, it does. And actually, you just reminded me, because where this game does shine is in its side quests. Like, this is the best side quest that I have ever experienced in a game, hands down, over The Witcher 3, which was previously what I said was the best. And the side quests take you out to different parts of the open world that you don't get to touch on in the main quest, and you get into all of these different interesting parts of the world that you otherwise would have kind of just bypassed. So I think definitely, but to further answer your question, don't go into this game expecting an open world with secrets around every corner like Elden Ring might have.
Okay.
So it's not on that level.
Well, you're going to have secrets, or you're going to have stuff around the world, but you're going to know that it's around. You're going to know where it is. Where Elden Ring is like, you will literally stumble upon things in Elden Ring.
Yeah.
It's way more paint by numbers.
It definitely feels lived in, which is a huge plus and credit to the game, as opposed to the first one where I was feeling the exact same as you, where I didn't think it needed all of that. But this game has it, and I'm not mad about it.
And you get a glider.
You do. You get a Breath of the World wild glider.
Breath of the World.
Breath of the Horizon.
But
Cole,
good game.
What have you been playing this week?
I have been playing the biggest release of the week, Sonic Frontiers.
It's here, y'all.
It's here, y'all.
How is it, Cole, so far?
It's pretty good. Honestly, I played 2 or 3 hours. I played with my kids. This was like both my little boys love Sonic for whatever reason. I don't know. I'm not even a Sonic fan, really. But
how dare you?
I mean, I'm just not. I don't know. I was always a Mario guy.
I thought everybody was a Sonic fan. Oh.
No, I mean, I was. Like, Sonic Adventure was incredible on Dreamcast. I remember when that came out. It was like the most next-gen thing I had ever seen in my life.
It was the Ragnarok of his time.
Yeah, that stage where the Free Willy, where the killer whale jumps over. Oh my gosh, I was blown away.
Oh, no, the best. You remember City Escape off Sonic Adventure 2, where he's running through the city and the City Escape song's playing?
Yep,
that was next.
God, it was so next.
We have gone so far off the beaten path of where Sonic could have been 3D wise. Is Sonic Frontiers a return to maybe the potential of what 3D Sonic could be?
Yeah, it is. the open world is cool, and it has like I read a lot of the early reviews, and they were talking about like this Tony Hawk style feel and like a flow to the gameplay, and then it's like that. The open world is awesome, and then you go into like these you get sucked into the cyberspace, whatever, and you go into these little mini levels, and they're okay, they're pretty cool. I didn't think they were. They seemed to me they felt like one of those apps, the little running apps, those runners where you switch lanes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like Temple Run or something. It kind of felt like that. Like you don't really have the same control over Sonic. You just swap whichever lane you're in. So that
what's funny? They actually made a Sonic Temple Run game.
Yeah, I remember that. But the open world is pretty awesome. I mean, exploring and figuring out ways. Like you look at the world and you try to figure out ways of like really Sonic never really felt like platforming to me. I don't know. It's more I don't know. It just felt like a just go kind of game. But it's pretty cool, like trying to figure out how to platform and how to get to these different places up in the air and these loops and everything. But yeah, I don't know. It's pretty good. I was more hyped for it than let's just say I was a little bit disappointed because for whatever reason that last week I got really hyped for this game.
Didn't deliver.
Yeah,
let me ask you.
Okay, though. No, it was. I'd say it was like satisfactory.
Well, let me ask you a question. I'm going to ask you the same question that Dave just asked me of Horizon. How is the actual world? Does it feel empty, or does it feel like there's actually secrets around every corner?
No, I mean it feels kind of empty. You know what it feels like, Dave? You'll appreciate this. It feels like someone modded Death Stranding and put this game in Death Stranding. Like the world reminds me of Death Stranding.
Yeah,
like when you first get control of Sonic, it's like rainy. And the world's got that Death Stranding look. It's strange. But I kept thinking, Sonic. Wow, this is weird. I feel like Death Stranding.
You just gave me an amazing idea. We need Kojima to take over the Sonic franchise and see what happens there.
I think Kojima might be getting his lawsuits ready for them taking his open world from him.
It feels like someone just uploaded Sonic elements into Death Stranding and just let people take off with it, but yeah, it's okay.
The funny thing is, there's definitely been worse Sonic games. So that seems I
honestly think it's a return to form for sure. Like I'm being a little too hard on it. It's pretty awesome, and the only reason I quit playing it is because I got Ragnarok and I started playing that, which came out like a day and a half later or something. Or 2 days later.
I believe.
So what you're saying is that people who like Death Stranding, because you didn't like Death Stranding, right?
No, I wouldn't say that. I did actually. I want to go back to it. I actually did I did like it. Okay. I just fell off the boat for whatever reason.
But you don't like Sonic in Death Stranding.
No, I do like Sonic. Like this is the thing. Like I like the game. It just feels like Sonic in Death Stranding.
Would you say it's like a 3 out of 5? Was that a fair rating?
I feel like I can't give it a rating yet. I've honestly only played like 3 hours. Okay. So like I'm not ready. I'm gonna check back in next week. Let's just say that it was satisfactory. And it is what it is. It doesn't feel that special, but I do think it's a return to like greatness for Sonic. I think it's the right direction.
I got one more question before we get to our main topic. Is there any sightings of Shadow the Hedgehog in this game?
No, I've been looking.
That's heartbreaking.
There'll be a link somewhere.
Alfredo, I feel like it's been a while since I've seen Shadow the Hedgehog in anything Sonic related.
Yeah,
I feel like they might have done the
sequel. He was in the movie.
I was going to ask, was he even in the like the movie?
No, he wasn't. No, I'm sorry. I was thinking Knuckles. I'm sorry.
Shadow's not.
Dang.
Yeah, I feel like they might have gave up on that character.
Yeah. He'll be around.
Hopefully, but you know what is around is our first impressions for God of War Ragnarok, the new God of War 2. Who wants to go first? Obviously, let's set some parameters up first. This is going to be a spoiler-free discussion in regards to story. I feel the gameplay changes we can kind of talk about, but we have to be very, careful depending on how far we are. And then also, I feel like full spoilers for God of War 1 should apply. Like, come on, like it's been almost 5 years.
It should be fine. Yeah.
It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard not to talk about at least the ending to that game to have any conversations about this game. So Those fair parameters. Everybody good?
Let's do it.
So first off, I'm gonna go around the round table. Everybody playing on PlayStation 5?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. How far is everybody? Alfredo, how far are you?
I am 15 hours in.
Ooh, shit.
Okay. You guys know I be gaming.
I see. Cole, how far are you into this?
Probably game? About 3 hours.
3 hours, okay. Dave, how far are you?
Maybe 9 or 10.
Okay. I think I'm around where you're at, Dave.
Yeah.
I think I'm around 9 or 10 hours in.
The thing is, though, I might actually be around you guys because I've been doing all the side quests.
Okay. We'll talk off camera. We'll see where we're at story wise.
Yeah.
But just initial impressions. I'll go last. Dave, why don't we start with you since you are our special guest?
Sure.
What are your initial thoughts, just in a brief summary so we can just go around? Like, what are your initial thoughts on God of War Ragnarok?
Yeah. So the main thing, like immediately noticeable as soon as you start playing, is that it feels pretty much like I remember 2018 feeling. And I haven't played that since 2018. I think it was 2019, maybe. I haven't played it since then, but I would be shocked if my memory is just failing me and it's not.
You're right.
You know,
I just played it. You're right.
Okay. Yeah, I had a feeling. So it's like it feels like less of a sequel and more of like a direct continuation. Like they put out God of War 2018 and then just kept working. Like that's what it really feels like, you know. And that's not a bad thing. Like I really like 2018, but it distinctly feels like that to me. So like the thing that I'm taking away from that is if anyone's listening or watching and you didn't like 2018, I don't think you're going to like this because there's not a lot that's changed. For all of us that like played 2018 and loved it, I think you're going to love this, like at least up to the point that I've played. But if you're looking for like huge gameplay innovation or like, I guess we can talk a little bit about the story too as we go. The story's doing something cool that I'll touch on that's not spoiler ish, but I'll save that. I guess just the first thing to me feels like I said, they put out 2018, they fixed some bugs, and then they're like, all right, let's keep going, like picking up right where we left off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll second that. Yeah, everything you said. Yeah, and I literally just finished. I did the same thing with Horizon Zero Dawn as I did this game. I was just playing God of War 2018 for comparison reasons, and then literally roll straight right into the sequel Ragnarok, and it does feel with the new patch out for 2018 with 60 FPS, all of that. It feels the same. It feels exactly how you're saying that I'm playing the same exact game. Only somehow this has turned into a Kingdom Hearts game, guys. And I say that with the intention, with specifically talking about where are my abilities that I just had.
Oh, yeah.
One of a little side character made a comment on that earlier.
Yeah, did you guys hear what Amir said about that? It was pretty funny.
It was funny. I laughed too.
I assume, because it has been a couple of years.
Yeah, I remember.
But I missed that comment.
Mimir basically says like you're walking, and he basically just says like, "Oh, it's a shame that Fimbulwinter eroded all your spells, huh?"
Oh my god!
And I'm like, "Oh, okay. So the reason that you start at level 1 is because it's fucking cold outside." That's
funny.
But the way
I missed that. I missed that. That's funny.
The tone and the way he said it was like the dev saying, "Yeah."
It's a little cheeky nod by the devs to just.
There's a bunch of things in this game like that.
Yeah,
little cheeky nods that like make fun of the game design in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is a lot of this game. But yeah, Alfredo, cool. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, in regards to that, it's not even spells, it's just your combos, right? Like I had like everything unlocked. I had all my combos in God of War. I could do the cool axe throwing, everything all gone basically. Now you do start with like some things in the new skill tree are a little higher up, so you can get them faster. But yeah, that took me out of it a little bit. I will say, just in terms of the game, because I'm pretty far, I'm definitely taking my time with this game. Even though I have put a lot of hours in, I'm taking a lot of time in terms of the game just because the world building that they have put into this game compared to the first game is pretty noticeable. There's a lot more character interactions in general. Kratos himself in the first game, he's just saying boy, boy, boy every 5 seconds. And replaying 2018, I was actually shocked how little Kratos actually talked. It was more like, Atreus, his son, was talking and interacting with a few other characters were in there, but you don't really get any deep, meaningful character interactions that much in 2018. You get a few here and there, but this game, Ragnarok, takes it to another level. It's every single character that's introduced, every single character that you did meet in 2018. They really go in depth into each character and be like, oh yeah, you're going to get to know these characters. Kratos himself is going to talk to them and actually try to be a social human being and not be so introverted and awkward. He's going to actually talk and get to know these people and characters, and they'll show different sides of them that you didn't even know about, which I really appreciate about this game, because I do feel like the first one was lacking in that regards. Now, what I will also say about the game, and before just I let another Duke handle it, I do think that this game has some pacing issues, and that's what I'm struggling with the most. It's a great game. It's fun. It plays exactly how the first one did, and they do some cool game mechanic switch ups. But a lot of this game, for me at least, being 15 hours in now, a lot of what has to do with the plot and what you're doing in general feels a little bit inconsequential. It feels that a lot of the time you're just doing things for the sake of doing things instead of actually going toward an actual goal. But yeah, that's what I say. I think it has some real pacing issues, but I'm having a lot of fun with it still.
Got you. Cole, in your brief 2 hours with the game, I know you're still starting up the game pretty much. How are you liking it so far?
I like it. So I'll say something to what Alfredo said. Yeah, Kratos is definitely is talking more, and I think for the most part it's good. But there was one particular part where he has an item and he asked, what's the little dwarf? He asked the dwarf to fix it, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but yeah, but it means something to him, and he literally said, "Wait, we know it." It was like his wife gave it to him, and he literally spells it out. He's like, "Yes, that means something to me." But I feel like he doesn't need to say that kind of stuff. He doesn't need to be that vocal. So I kind of hope he's not too in his feelings the whole, which is not. But you know what I mean? I don't want him to be too. I don't want him to too overdo it. But I'm not far enough in. I like it so far. The story is great to me so far. But back to what Dave was saying, it's just the same. I hate that, and I hate to be down on the game for that, because the game is polished. It looks incredible. It feels incredible. It plays incredible. Even the characters, what they do in the first little bit when someone comes to their house, and I'm like, oh shit, they're going there right now.
Can we talk about that? Because I feel like that was in trailers.
It was in 2018.
Was it in the trailers?
Was that in trailers?
It was in 2018. So it was in the ending of 2018.
Oh,
they had showed. Yeah, it was the after credit scene. Basically.
Okay, well, I still feel like it's still kind of spoilers because I honestly was not expecting. Okay. I mean, y'all can say it if you want to, but
yeah, we'll keep it on the hush. Yeah, that's probably better for.
I was like, damn, this is happening already. This is incredible. Then a knock on the door, and the other big badass comes in there, and I was like, oh my goodness! And they're having a sit down. I was all hyped. I was into that. That was awesome.
Yeah, dude, I wrote down for that exact part. That scene had me as tense and focused on what was going on as any prestige TV that I've watched in the last
I thought the same thing.
I watched it at least. I watched it at least 5 times. I recorded on my. I did the record, and so I watch it every night. I'm like, man, this is just really well directed, well acted across the board, and I mean that's my. Overall,
but the tense was there. It was it was great. I felt the same way. I was like, I feel like I'm watching a movie, and they're doing a dang good job right now.
And there's not to, obviously I won't say exactly what, but there's another moment that happened like maybe when I was playing yesterday that had the same level of acting where I was like, like Christopher Judge is acting his ass off right now.
He is.
It was
He's
really good.
And my man's from the I used to watch The West Wing when I was a kid. The guy who's from West Wing, one of my favorite characters. He plays another character in this game that we won't spoil, and they're killing it throughout the whole game so far. They've been my favorite character to watch whenever they're on screen. They command attention. For me, this game has made me appreciate God of War 2018 a lot more. I wasn't the biggest fan of God of War 2018. Not because of the gameplay. I thought the gameplay was very good. I thought that the first person camera view that this game has continued on with was one of the most impressive technical feats I've seen a game do. I thought voice acting in that first game was really good. This game in every way is a step up from 2018, especially if you played on base PlayStation 4. Now, like Alfredo said, if you played the 60 frames per second, that's how I finished God of War 2018. I finished it, I like to say 2020 when that update first came out. That's when I finished it. I had gotten halfway through and just stopped. So yeah, this feels like a continuation of that more so than a direct sequel, than a sequel. You think of a video game sequel would be.
Yeah.
At the same time, it's an expansion of, let's say, level design, gameplay, storytelling, and graphics to as best as you. I can't name a better game that looks. I can't name a game that looks better than this on PlayStation 5. I can't. I know you said Horizon, Alfredo.
Definitely Horizon.
I don't think Horizon does from the standpoint Horizon, just from a color palette standpoint. This game has all the colors too, but this game knows when to use them. Every location looks perfect. I can't I think we should drop the conversation about games being held back by the PlayStation 4 because this game is not being held back by anything.
You can tell in the loading, the loading screens and stuff.
I've heard that would be there regardless, though, because they have to separate the levels out somehow.
But I don't think it would be it to the extent that this game is because
it's 2 seconds.
And there's a lot of crouching. There's a lot of small little casts that I have to squeeze by that aren't even. Some of them aren't even that long. Some of them are longer. There's a lot of that.
I feel like Ratchet and Clank has some of those same things, though. I have not seen a game on PlayStation 5 that looks as good as this. I haven't seen a game that has utilized loading as even to the extent of some of those PlayStation 5 exclusive games. None of them are more technically better than this game to me.
It's technically kind of ridiculous. I was paying attention, the first part in the first hour, you go out walking in the snow and you can see the snow, individual, pieces of snow reacting to where you step and people stepping in cutscenes. I was like, wow, someone worked for 6 months on that snow. That looks incredible.
And somehow that is running on PlayStation 4. That's the part that's even crazier.
And all of the cutscenes have your armor that you have selected. I thought that's pretty cool.
It's the most technically impressive game I have ever seen.
Yeah,
bar none. That's why for me, I want to end the argument of the PS4 is holding these games back. I don't think it is, because this is as good as you can get a game to look. I feel right now.
Yeah.
You know what I noticed though? There's one scene where you throw the what are the little
axe?
The chains?
The chains, whatever they are. They axes on chains? What's on the blades?
Chaos blades.
The chaos blades.
So you throw it and you pull these logs down and they just disappear. And I was like, come on, this is 2022.
It does do that. Yeah.
You don't make these things disappear. This is the kind of stuff. This is the kind of stuff that I want to see next gen push is physics and stuff like that, which I do agree. The snow is incredible. After a battle, the whole torn up snow everywhere is unbelievable.
Right. I just think this game, if you look at it as just a direct continuation of 2018, I don't think they could have done much better from how it looks.
Mm-hmm.
And it's no doubt in my mind, this game is both. I've gotten enough through to kind of feel that this is both The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi combined. if God of War 2018 is a New Hope, This game, it feels like at some points, like I got to a point where I'm like, I feel like this is too much. Like part of me is like, I wish that this was maybe split up.
In that you think they're doing too many things.
And the thing is,
or too much?
we were early talking about this. Like we thought this was not going to be enough. We thought like, oh, like they're releasing a sequel that quickly. Like it's going to be kind of like a Miles Morales maybe. Because you think about it, like God of War came out the same year as Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
2018, yeah. It
so
did.
When we were saying, because that was back when Ragnarok was slated for 2021, we were like, okay, it's just this quick follow-up. It's probably going to be like a reduced adventure. Oh, no. This is one of the largest. It feels so dense without it being an open world per se.
Right. Yeah. And I definitely appreciate the concept in terms of world building that they made, because you do get to basically, like in the first game, you get to visit a whole bunch of realms, right? That's not really a secret. And each of the realms not only like look great, like you guys were touching on, and that's kind of why I was talking about it also being kind of like Kingdom Hearts, not only how you just randomly lose all your abilities, but you know, you're going to Lion King world, sometimes you're going to Tarzan world, sometimes you're going to Frozen world.
Except
that kind of game.
Except you don't have to use a stupid gummy ship to get to these
That's
realms.
True.
It's
That's
just
true.
it's just a button click.
Yes, but speaking more on the actual like denseness of the world, like I really like, we were talking about side quests earlier and how Horizon, like that's the best part of the game for me in Horizon is the side quest. This game isn't quite on that level when it comes to side quests, but it is on the point where if there's a side quest, I'm doing it. Because what they actually do with the side quest this time around is they tie it to the specific characters in the world. So Mimir, like from the first game, he's going to be on your back, or he's going to be like tied to your chain, right? Very early in the game, like the first side quest you get is for him, and he's like, oh, I did this a really bad thing. Can you help me fix it? And as you go on the side quest, he's giving more details about his past, what he used to do, how he used to help certain other people, and how he regretted it. So they do that for a lot of the side quests, pretty much all the ones that I've dived into so far. And it just helps with the world building, helps you, you know, fully more flesh out the characters. And they're great. They're not like top tier Witcher 3 Horizon side quests, but like they're fun, they're great. It rewards you by giving you these resources that connect back to a very, very good, in my opinion, armor and weapon upgrade tree. And yeah, it all ties together really well.
Yeah. The one thing I want to say about side quests that impressed me the most, and just to kind of avoid spoilers, like it's not exactly of an RPG party per se, but you can do these side quests at different parts of the story, and depending on what's going on, who is with you at the time, the side quests kind of adjust to who's with you. And I've honestly never really seen that. Or if I've seen it, it's done real clumsily. This game, it feels like it was always meant to be this way, which it just impresses me. Like it doesn't feel like they put the same lines for like the same character. You know what I'm saying? It feels like whoever's with you on this, it's like they programmed the side quest like 3, 4, 5 times. It's in like the degree of just like attention to detail that is throughout this whole game is incredible. I feel like the side quest is definitely one of those things where you can really see how closely they've made it feel like it's just one big experience.
Yeah. Like I'll just echo, like I think I've done probably 2 big side quests at this point. They've both been excellent at story and character development. Like the stuff that you're doing, you think about what you're doing in God of War, you already know what you're going to be doing in these side quests, right? You're going to do some puzzles, you're going to fight some enemies, you're going to maybe fight a boss at the end. But like a lot of people like kind of get down on side quests for like not making them mechanically super interesting, but what you can do is make them really good for character and like relationship building between characters. And the 2 that I've done so far have been like really, really good. And I'm thinking like, especially the second one I did, which maybe we can talk off air. it was like just a really, really awesome moment with Kratos and Atreus. Like something that
I know what
we
you're
kind
talking
of
about.
talked about how this is like a continuation of the first game. With that continuation, you get all the character development that Kratos got in the first game. Now he's much more of a father than he was at the beginning of 2018. So
Yep.
now you're doing these side quests where they're hanging out and Kratos is actually like making an effort sometimes and not just like being super dismissive to Atreus. And like the potential for storytelling there is really, really good because the writing and the voice acting and all of that is excellent, I think, so far. So like these side quests have been really good. And it's like, I agree. It's not quite Witcher, where like every Witcher side quest just surprised the hell out of me in the best way. But in this, like the next best level is to like make me, let me have fun mechanically, but give me good character side content. And in this game, the ones I've seen so far, I can't imagine playing this game and missing those moments because it gives so
Right.
much context. And especially that second one, I was like, Jesus, that's a really nice moment. It's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Going along that, I have a question. Thomas and Cole, have you guys also been doing the side quests, or are you like kind of main pathing it?
So I main pathed it for a while, and then when I don't want to spoil anything. When I got to a certain point in the story, and I'm around one of my favorite characters in the story a lot more than I thought I was going to be, I started doing all the side quests, and that's when I noticed like how they tailor the game around who you're with. So yeah, I've done probably 4 of the big
Oh,
ones, and I've
okay.
done a whole bunch of side ones.
Got it.
The
Yeah.
funny one of my funny moments. I don't think this is a spoiler because it's not important. But did y'all do the orb side quest?
I just did that. I think we are in the same spot because I just did that.
Did you? Have
Yeah.
you played that one, Dave? Did
I
you
don't think
know?
I've gotten that far yet.
Okay, I won't spoil it. Then.
Yeah. I know what you're talking
It's
about.
this funny thing that like it plays on how serious Kratos takes everything. That's the
Mhm.
one thing I will say about this game. It utilizes MCU level humor,
Man,
but that's a compliment.
Mhm.
I was going to
Not
bring that up if no one else did. Like, there is significant Marvel MCU movie influence in this.
The
Yeah,
noise
for
of
sure.
the of Thor's hammer is the exact noise from the movie.
Is
Is
it?
Y'all
it?
noticed? Yeah. Like
they might be
when he
getting a
sits
call
the
from
hammer
Disney.
down and it's like that little magical noise. It's literally the exact noise from the MCU.
Hmm.
It's crazy.
Oh, they're in trouble.
I just I was playing today and I met a character and I was like, that is an MCU ass character that I just met
Yeah.
right there.
Mhm.
I won't say who, obviously, but like I've had that distinct like they're trying to introduce some levity in this game, and they're definitely doing it in the way the MCU did. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very. I think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing.
No.
I thought like God of War 2018. I have a really iffy relationship with because I remember I saw all the reviews for that. Watched IGN kind of funny. All and everybody's like game of the year, best game ever made. Yada yada yada. I play like 10 hours of it, and I'm like, I get it, but it's not speaking to me. It's just not at all. This game makes that game better because I actually did download it back to my PlayStation 5. And I'm enjoying that. I even just going through some of I might just go for the platinum for it. I'm just like, man, I like this. And
Mhm.
it's because Ragnarok really to me isn't a different game. Like I feel like if they could, they would have released the whole thing as one just big old game.
God, what a game. What a game
God,
that
what a
would be.
game,
I mean,
right?
it
Just
still is like a
one
game so far.
giant 160-hour game. Yeah.
Right. But that also speaks to how like I feel like I do feel like this game is an odyssey kind of. This game feels like a really good book. I don't think there's any other comparison that I could make to it because it doesn't feel like to me this game doesn't feel like a video game. It feels more like a book. Even though the combat's amazing, all of that, yeah, it's great. But I think it goes back for me to the pacing issues that I think are present there. And maybe the pacing issues are only there because I am taking my time in everything, going specifically looking for all the chests, all the like
Hmm.
little secrets and everything. I really do wonder like how if I would feel differently if I would main path it because as I am doing it now, I was talking about how some things feel a little bit inconsequential. It doesn't feel like I am on this great Odyssey adventure because I am doing things that feel like don't matter sometimes. But yeah, I wonder if that experience would change if I didn't take my time and if I was main pathing it.
I was main pathing it for a while and it still was satisfactory. I just love where the story's going. Like, I think that this has become one of my more favorite fantasy worlds in this game. Where in the first game, I felt it all was a bit of a tease. And that's the one part that still to this day I do not like about God of War 2018. It's like, we're going to talk about all these cool things. We're going to show you all the realms that are here. But we'll go to half of them. You know, we'll talk about these cool gods. Like, Odin's here, but we're not going to, like all these like little things. I was like, why are you playing with me? Like,
God of War was the set dressing. This is the actual meal.
Right. And looking back on it, 2018, I remember the best, I think Skill Up said it. I thought it was perfect. God of War 2018 is like a stage play, how it's presented.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This game is not that. And I feel like with that first person camera, it makes it even more impressive that it's not that. Because I feel like when Atreus and Kratos are together for a whole game, it's easy to have the camera set on them the entire time. This game, not to spoil anything, doesn't really do that for a lot of it, where it's like Atreus at this point is, what is he, 14?
He's a teenager somewhere.
He's a teenager. Yeah. So he has agency and he's doing his own thing a lot of times. Like for whatever is what's going on in the plot, he's doing his own thing. He's not always around Kratos.
Yeah.
And the fact that they still maintain that first person camera.
Yeah.
It's such cool. Clever. Like every time I'm like, how are you gonna do it? I look out for it every single time. Like, how are we doing it? And every single time I've been impressed. Like, God help the person whose job that was to get those scenes transitioning like that. Because no other game even attempts to do something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It is incredibly impressive. It makes it feel like, I don't know, like an Odyssey of sorts, even though it
feels like an epic to me. Like I would say it's more epic to me. It's like if the first one was a stage play, this one is an epic.
Yeah, maybe I would compare more to like the Lord of the Rings, like something along that nature where, okay, now we're going to travel to this place in order to get the gods. But it's not only like a video game is usually a supercut of all the like exciting parts. This game doesn't just have the exciting parts for better or for worse. It has everything. It has, you sitting at the dining table and eating. It has like those kind of moments. It has the character moments. It has the exciting parts. But yeah, for me, I don't know. I feel like they're spaced out a little too odd.
I like the shift in focus in this game. Like God of War 2018 was a game about Kratos' quest to scatter the ashes,
Mm-hmm.
He finished that quest and he doesn't really have new quests anymore. He's just a guy hanging out trying to live a peaceful life.
Prophecy.
Well,
I think that's the problem I'm having too, though. I think that's what it comes down to.
I like the new focus, we'll say, without getting too deep in it. I like how things have shifted. And I started to feel that the last couple times I played, that there's a definite shift in attention from Kratos is on this epic quest, or Kratos needs to defend whoever, or kill whoever god, if we want to go way, way back in the series history. It's a different focus now, and I'm really, really excited to see where it goes, because it's like, had it just been another like quest for Kratos, and only him, basically. Last game, Atreus was along for the ride. He has to go because he can't just stay at the house by himself. So he was along for the ride last time. He's not just along for the ride. And one of you said it pretty well earlier. He's a teenager. He has agency. He can make his own decisions, and he is making his own decisions, which you find out pretty quickly. So like I said, I'm about 10 hours in. I've also been doing side quests. So like, I'm not as far as I feel like I could be right now, but I'm enjoying the side quests, and the last couple times I've played have made me really, really excited for where the story was going. Whereas like the first maybe 5 hours or so all felt like wrap up from the first game. Or kind of like a, they gave you a cliffhanger after the credits of 2018, like a real thing to get you excited. And they wrapped that up within the first 2 hours of this game. Now the new thing is going and I'm really into it. I'm excited. I think I know where it's going, but I'm still excited to see how it gets there,
Yeah.
We could talk about this game forever. I do want to get to one thing before we move to our next topic. Any negatives? I think we've been really high on it, and I'm high on it too, but are there any significant negatives? I know you said pacing, Alfredo. Is there anything else that you'd say? I know, and Cole, I remember you did say it's a little more of the same. I would say to you in regards to that,
once you get farther,
just wait.
Yeah, just wait.
Okay, yes.
This becomes the most dense game you can imagine very quickly. So I say just wait on it. It's going to get way... Honestly, the one thing you can't say is the same game in 2018.
Yeah, right. My negative is just the fact that it's not... I want this to be like the next gen God of War, and it's not. Like, and I know maybe it's different, and there's some different mechanics or whatever.
No, that's a fair criticism. But it's on PlayStation 5. You don't need a we don't need a PlayStation 5 for anything but Demon's Souls at this point. Like, what else? I just feel like even that game, like I can't say that game.
What else do we have? I forgot.
Ratchet and Clank Return.
Ratchet and Clank.
But I would argue none of those games look as good as this.
Like, no, I agree.
I don't know.
From a technical standpoint,
it's crazy how I did not expect this to hear from you guys, because I actually would have said, aside from the pacing issues, that I would say that this game doesn't look that great. That would be my one negative for it.
Look, this game
hear me out. Remember, I just played God of War 2018 with the patch. I just played it. And it really does not feel like a significant upgrade in terms of from what I just played from 2018 and now. I know they did have a patch and everything. And 2018, it looks pretty great on PS5.
Well, 2018 still looks to this day.
It looks pretty good.
Damn good.
And,
it looks great.
Yeah, and that said, that makes it so that Ragnarok, in comparison, because 2018 still does look great, Ragnarok really does not look that good compared to it.
I don't think it has to, though, because
it doesn't.
I don't want to spoil anything, but you do, like, let's be real. That game takes place in the same looking area for a lot of it.
Yes.
And this game does not. This game looks different almost all the time.
That's fair, but I would say even when I got to some of the, more tropical area, some more of the other ones, I did think, this really doesn't look at what I was expecting. This doesn't look like a PS5 game like I would expect from Horizon or from Last of Us. It doesn't, and I think, like, for me, that's one of the indicators of, whoa, this is next gen. Like, when I saw Horizon on PS5, I was absolutely blown away. When I saw this game, it looked good enough. It looked like a PS4 game to me. Like it could have been a PS4 or a God of War 2018. It really didn't look.
Looks like a PS4 game released on PC.
Yeah, and that's not that bad of a thing, right?
No,
it still looks good.
I would just argue that none of the PlayStation 5 games look to me like as good as this. Like none, even if you go to even the exclusive ones, like I've Demon's Souls, like I like Demon's Souls. Facial animation wise, nowhere close. I think that animation in the top looks amazing in Demon's Souls, but I don't think it looks anywhere near as good as God of War. Just being honest, I don't think Ratchet and Clank. I think Ratchet and Clank looks really good and is the peak of that art, like cartoon, like animation style, but still, like I don't think it looks as good as this.
I'm guessing you guys are playing in performance mode, right? I am.
Yeah, playing in performance mode, 60 frames, 4K.
Yeah, and I was going to say,
and Steam Deck. I've been playing on Steam Deck as well.
Really? Cool.
I was going to say, like, I'm not even playing on 4K mode, and I still think this game looks incredible. Like, just pretty much everything. I'm glad you brought up like animations and faces and stuff. Faces are so hard to make look good in video games, and they look pretty damn good here.
Yeah. I agree. I definitely see what you're saying from the standpoint of it doesn't look that much different than God of War 2018.
Yeah.
But we got to be real.
No,
God of War
looks great.
2018 looks better than games coming out this year.
It does.
If
And it's all in game.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's true. Yeah. It's like people talked it to death with 2018 with how it's all in game, but like a lot of games will pull off some really visually impressive stuff in like pre-rendered cutscenes.
Right.
And this one it's all in the engine there. It looks great. If I can bring up like one thing that I'm like gonna criticize this game for is that they really didn't do anything with the puzzles to make them different or more interesting, in my opinion. And
they're worse, really. I think it's the same.
Let's call it the contrast between these like super high quality story moments, some frankly really exciting boss fights, and then I turn the corner and it's one of those things where you got to bang the 3 bells with your axe to open a treasure chest, and I'm like, okay, back to the video game, I guess. You know, like the capital V, capital G video game, as opposed to like this super exciting boss fight I just did, or this like great story moment I just watched.
We got to eat those apples, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, you do need those apples. So like, I'm going to do those things, but I'm not having fun with the puzzles. I'll just say that. Like, there's nothing about the puzzles that's interesting me right now. And it's going to get to the point where I'm like, they keep increasing the complexity of them, and I'm not like having fun figuring out the puzzles. I'm just going to look at guides so I can get back to the stuff that I like.
No shame.
Shame. I don't feel shame for looking in guides.
I've had that Ragnarok walkthrough on my bottom monitor every time I play.
Never. I will never do it.
I don't feel shame looking in a guide ever. And I will not feel shame, especially it's like, I'm not going to look up a guide for how to beat this boss in God of War. I just, I know how to fight. I know how to just be better. I can do that. Practice a little bit. I'll be fine. But if I'm doing a puzzle and it's going to take me like 15 minutes to figure it out, no, not in this game. I'm not interested in that.
This isn't The Witness.
No.
You guys, I have literally sat up here for sometimes like 15 minutes go back. I'm like, where's this goddamn bell?
Hey, I'll take even worse, y'all. I'll dadgum. I'll turn the difficulty down to easy just to beat a boss. If I get stuck on it for like 5 or 6 times, I'm over it. I'm turn to easy mode and let's plow.
Same for me playing From Software games. Like, I love those games, but fighting a boss 20 times is not why I love those games. So I'll summon in help. I'll do what I need to. No shame. Get through the game. Have fun the way you want to.
Time is valuable.
Before I get to my negative, I just have one and then we move on. What difficulties are I playing on? I'm playing on the middle one.
Yeah, the recommended.
The standard one.
No mercy, of course.
You're on the last one?
No, I think I'm on there's like one before the...
Yeah, there's 5. There's 5.
Give me God of War.
Yeah,
you're on 4.
You need to be the Duke of hard mode.
You guys...
Alfredo's afraid the Grim Gamer is going to take him if he doesn't play the game on
hard. Gotta play it hard.
My main
challenge.
Yeah, there is challenging. My main negative with this game, that menu system. I'm sorry.
Ooh. You don't like it?
It's worse. It's somehow worse. Like I thought.
There's one option. So
I thought 2018's was so convoluted, especially compared to the greatest game of all time, Spider-Man. It's a very convoluted upgrade system, and they somehow made it even more confusing.
Really?
I don't like how things look on there. I don't know. I just don't like how it looks. I mean, it's a personal thing for me, but yeah, that's the one negative I had. That's like, I don't think that is going to get better through the playthrough. I think every other negative I have, I'm going to wait until I play all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the gamification of the RPG trees and upgrading your armor. Like,
was that not a thing in 2018?
No, it was the thing. It definitely wasn't as expansive. Like they didn't have the it wasn't as expansive, but yeah. I like the gamification of that.
I'm getting burned in the menus too often by pressing the wrong button. Like,
or are you crafting things by mistake? That happened to me.
All right, so you press circle to open up the crafting menu with Brock or Sindri, right? Mm-hmm. Then you have to start pressing X to confirm in the menus, and it burns me every time I close out because I just press circle to confirm. Why is the confirm button changing?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
couple that with like you said, there's like 5 sub menus for opening up each weapon or armored piece and upgrading them and stuff. Like it's definitely not like a game breaking thing, but if we're going to talk about the menus, like why are we switching up inputs like that? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah. I definitely feel you there. I think the reason why I like the menus is that this might not be the feel they're trying to go for, but it makes me feel like this is a Final Fantasy game or a Mass Effect game. And without going, into too much of it, but it just takes me back to those types of games that I personally enjoy. There's a lot of numbers going around. There's a lot of, there's a lot of ways that you can enhance your abilities by, the synergy between your amulet and your little gem that you have in this item and then another item. There's a lot of numbers, there's a lot of letters, a lot of words, a lot of abilities, everything in there. And I'm here for it because I love those types of games. But
this feels to me like when I'm playing From Software, the number, like the difference in From Software between having 95 attack and 102 attack is nothing. It's all about your execution. This game feels exactly like that to me. Like I'm upgrading when I have the opportunity, but I don't care about my stats whatsoever.
I'll tell you,
in this game,
in hard mode,
in hard mode,
that defense number matters.
Fair enough.
Well, we're going to be able to give you our full impressions once we beat the game, because we're definitely in some capacity going to do a spoiler cast. So stay tuned for that. But speaking of some PlayStation franchises, let's move to our second topic, which is Horizon is potentially getting a MMO. It's currently reportedly in development, I believe. I don't think it's fully confirmed, but there's some good sources. This is coming to us from, what is this? I'm sorry, Kotaku. Guerrilla Games and Sony are rumored to be working on a brand new MMO set within the universe of last year's Horizon Forbidden West. That's this year's typo. It's going to be reportedly made by NC Soft, who are responsible for the Guild Wars, and there's another one,
EverQuest, I believe, back in the day.
It's the third biggest MMO developer in the world. 2 being Square Enix and 1 I forgot who, but yes, one of the biggest ones. How are we looking at this news? I'm a little more negative on it, but if anybody have any positives?
No, I'm positive. Me and Alfredo spent like half a podcast talking about this potentially.
No, we did not.
Yes, we did. It was a games as a service. We were more of like a Monster Hunter style. You don't remember us talking about this?
No, I know what you're talking about, but we talked about something different. This is an MMO, Cole.
Oh, well, then I'm going to be the minority on this one because I like this idea.
We were talking about.
If you're telling me it's like a Monster Hunter MMO, I think that could be cool.
Right.
I think that if you make it like a Monster Hunter, but it's like you actually have to get in groups with people and you're hunting down monsters together, I think that has potential. And I hope that's what this is.
Well, you know what the key is going to be to this whole thing is if they keep the combat. If they redo like an MMO style combat, then it's done.
I was just going to say, if you go into a kind of cooldown based,
then that sucks.
And like DPS tank healer type combat, this is going to be terrible. But
and that's what it's going to be, guys.
I'm with Alfredo on that.
I can see the potential, like you said, for a going on a raid on like a giant robot dinosaur with like 10 other people. That could be a lot of fun.
That could be incredible.
Yeah, it could be so much fun. But that was my thing too, is I was like, is this actually going to be like an MMO where you're doing a bunch of fetch quests and then every now and then you get to go do one of those raids and fight a big boss? Or is it going to be Monster Hunter? Because that would be great. Agreed.
And I don't think they can do an MMO with that. Like, I mean, I don't think it could handle all those mechanics.
Well, it would have to be developed by Guerrilla.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, so really it probably is bad news then.
Well, here's the thing.
If it's games as a service, I think it'd be good.
Right. So here's the thing, because it's kind of shocking hearing this news because they are really trying to make Horizon like go places, right? We know there's a Netflix series. We know they're doing the VR game. They're doing what we expect to be Monster Hunter, which isn't an MMO, and now they're doing this MMO with NCSoft, and I'm pretty familiar with
don't
NCSoft.
know. The one thing I will suffer, we don't know whether that project is this project.
I don't think it is. I don't think
I feel like
there's
only so many games you can have in development. Like I feel like the odds of those projects being the same, because it's not like they like brought, like they didn't report, they didn't like announce this got leaked.
Right.
So
But
I think that this is that project. That's why I think it's going to be more Monster Hunter looking. I don't think the gameplay is going to be there, but I do think that concept that I don't know if I was on that podcast, but that concept of you're going to be basically Monster Hunter style hunting these different beasts. I think that's what this is going to be.
That's going to be great.
I think it will, but like technically, I don't think Monster Hunter World is considered an MMO technically.
Well, no, it's not.
Right? It's not. Yeah. So I think they're really leaning into the MMO style of it here.
Well, I think Monster Hunter World's a games as a service, technically. Exactly. It's not, but I don't think they do many microtransactions. But I had plenty of friends who would, co-op that together to take down.
You really think PlayStation's going to say, "Hey, let's take the best part of Horizons, the combat, and they're just going to strip that away"?
Well, that's why I think they're going to do both, because they're really trying to make Horizon franchise a thing. They're spreading out as much as possible.
But that's what makes it special, I feel like, is that combat,
Yeah.
Well, they can do both, right? They can have the MMO, and MMOs are huge. That's just another way to get more people into their new world. NCSoft makes great MMOs. Guild Wars 2, I played it a ton. It's a great game. But I think what they're going to do is that they're going to have this as an alternative for the people who do like MMOs. And then they're also going to have actually Guerrilla themselves will be developing the games of the service.
See, but
that's what I think. I would
just get confused.
Who's making Horizon 3?
But with their second team, hopefully. Well, hopefully.
I don't think Guerrilla's developing any, because they don't have a history of doing games as a service, anything.
They don't, but we do know that PlayStation, acquired Destiny developer Bungie specifically for this reason, so that they can have veterans in games as a service who can expand and go to all their other publishers, all their other first-party studios, and teach them, how do we make a games as a service? How do we make a Horizon, Monster Hunter games as a service and do it well? So I think they're still, getting their feet on the ground, getting their feet wet, and I think eventually they'll get it once they, have some experience. But in the meantime, hey, let's give this game, our franchise, over to NCSoft. We know they can make a good MMO, and just do an MMO game for the people who do want that. Speculation, but that's what I'm hoping.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I hope you're wrong, because I don't think Horizon is big enough to have two different online multiplayer games going on at the same time.
Yeah, it seems like
that does not seem smart at all. That seems like a bad decision.
I got ya. But here's the only reason why I'm hoping I'm right is because I really don't think NCSoft can execute a Monster Hunter World game.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's bad news, Alfredo, because I don't think you're gonna have two separate multiplayer games for the same franchise out at the same time, and you're not going to expect that NCSoft is going to give you a Horizon like experience, in addition to the fact that Guerrilla is actively developing Horizon 3, most likely. I don't think it's announced for pre-production, but you can assume that it probably is. And this is not like Naughty Dog, where factions is primarily what they're working on. I don't think you're going to have, because I believe Guerrilla is smaller than Naughty Dog at this point in time.
Probably.
I don't think Guerrilla has the manpower to work on a big factions like multiplayer game and Horizon 3. So I think this is bad news. But look, I don't think I was going to play it regardless. So it's not really hitting me any type of way.
Yeah.
I do hope that they tone down on all this expansion with Horizon. Because I mean, the funny thing is, Horizon. I think Horizon Zero Dawn is the third best-selling PlayStation game, I believe. PlayStation 4 game, at least.
It's up there.
So it's definitely. I think it sold more than Last of Us Part 2. It's been somewhere in Spider-Man and God of War. I think it's the only two games that outsold it. And so it's a big franchise responsible for over, I think, $800 million in revenue. So it's a moneymaker for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what we have coming is good enough. I think a Netflix show is going to be good. I think that VR game is going to be good. And then you're eventually going to get the remake for PlayStation 5, and then you're going to get Horizon 3.
I forgot about that.
But look, this is what makes me excited, is these kind of games, as opposed to another God of War 3 or Horizon 3, like something, they're trying something different. You know? I mean, maybe it's not different. Maybe it's going to be an MMO, like they're just going to slap Horizon on it and whatever. It's going to be EverQuest Horizon, but
Horizon sellout.
But like, you know, like Anthem, at least they tried, you know, at least that was going to be something different and whatever. But
you just put some, oh my God.
Not
that's
Anthem.
That's some PTSD right there.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
You gotta admit that when that game showed, it showed incredible. That first demo, everybody was hyped out of their mind.
Well, speaking of PTSD, we had the sequel announced to one of my favorite games of 2019, Control, which the character did have a lot of PTSD and a lot of other stuff going on that I will avoid spoilers for. But we officially have the announcement from Remedy that Control 2 is actively in development. The game will also be multi-platform. How are we feeling about this? I'm very, very excited, because Control was one of those games where it just had one of those vibes to it where it's the most Twin Peaks-esque game I've ever played. And it's made by a developer who made previously one of the most Twin Peaks-esque games I've ever played, which was Alan Wake.
Which is also in development.
Which is also in development. I don't know which one comes first. Probably Alan Wake, I assume.
Probably, yeah.
But I don't know. Those sales numbers for the remaster weren't looking too good, so I don't know. We'll see. And we know the Control takes place in that same universe. This, I think, is going to be a long ways away, I assume, if they're just getting in development. I think we're probably a good, probably 4, maybe 3 years away. So I'm like 2025, I'm thinking, is going to be release date potentially for this.
Jeez. Whew. Such a long time.
Takes a long time to make a good game. But how are we thinking? Anybody excited for this like me?
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped. Like, I really liked the first game, I really liked it, while also really keying in on some things that are pretty obvious things to improve in a sequel. You know, like, I think that they can work on the combat, keep iterating on that, work on enemy variety, keep working on that, but give me more of the oldest house as a setting. Give me more of these weird side stories. Give me more of the janitor. Give me all that. Because, like you said, the atmosphere in that game was so good. I was in. That game hooked me more than a lot of games that I played. And even though, like I said, I was getting kind of tired of some of the enemies and the boss fights weren't very fun, those are things that you can work on when you're making a sequel. So, count me in. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, same for me. I feel like Remedy is one of is probably the weirdest developer ever.
They made one of the worst games of the year this year.
Well, you're always in for an interesting experience when it comes to Remedy's games, because I feel like you can never tell whether something is going to be good or bad, but it's going to be interesting for sure. But Control was one of those hits that it had, like Dave said, great setting. The powers themselves were awesome to actually use. And like you too, Dave, I thought it can use some tweaking, a little bit more fine tuning, but I think we'll get that. But yeah, I think we all knew that Control 2 was coming. We were just waiting for them to actually announce it.
Let's be honest. Any video game that is popular and sells a bunch, you're gonna get a sequel for it. So not surprising at all.
Exactly. I am more excited actually for their multiplayer project that they have going on, where I think this kind of be like X-Men basically because it's in the Control universe. But yeah, they have a multiplayer project also in development, which I'm
That'd be
real
cool.
excited about. Maybe even more than this. But yeah, should be a good time.
Cole, any history with Control?
No, I want to play. I never played it.
So you should play it.
That's one I missed.
I think
This
you
is
like
one I
it.
want to go back and play. Yeah,
I think you would
I'd
definitely like it.
So
And
is this out on PS5? Like a
Yep.
re-release?
There's an upgrade. Yeah.
Ray
And
tracing, 60 frames.
PS Plus? Is it PS Plus game?
No.
I think actually, I
It was
think it
giv-
might.
it was
I think it
given
actually
away.
might be.
Is it on
Really?
the
I
premium
I
list?
think it is.
I don't know if it's on the
The catalog.
premium list, the catalog, but they did give it away as a monthly game at some point.
Yeah, then
So if you just
I
add
would've picked it
those
up.
and forget about them like I do, you might have
Yeah.
it. So
That's awesome.
Yeah, I hope you get a chance to play with.
Yeah, I want to play it for sure.
yeah, it's good, and it gets one of the like most enticing things that I can say about a game is that it's really good and it's less than 20 hours long. Like, not going to take your whole life to play it.
Hey, so y'all, February's PS Plus game was Control Ultimate Edition. So
And it's on the extra tier of PlayStation Plus.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
So
Yeah,
if anybody wants to get a chance to get in there and play it, excellent game. Definitely a top 5 game for me of 2019. Not one of the best years of gaming for sure. It's definitely not this year, but it was some pretty good games
Pretty
on that
solid
list.
year.
Yeah.
Pretty solid year.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. What's not good stuff is what's going on over at id Software. So this is a very interesting story. It's a continuation. I don't think we covered the original story before.
Mhm.
So there was some controversy around the Doom Eternal soundtrack. The official OST was just lacking in quality, and it was originally blamed by id Software's creative. I think it was one of their directors. I don't know if it was a creative director, but they blame Mick Gordon, who is the composer of the new Doom franchise. So Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, he's been responsible for the music, and he got the blame for all of the mishaps that went on with the soundtrack. Well, he's come out with an expose basically refuting all of that and describing the work conditions that he had to work under, and kind of revealing a very interesting side of the video game industry that I don't think people really think about, and that's how important game music is. So how familiar are you with the story, and what are your thoughts on this?
I am not familiar, but I am very familiar with how awesome Doom's soundtrack is. Like, that's essential to the game. So it's kind of crazy. I had no idea hearing that, they had all these issues. So I'm interested in learning more, actually.
Yeah. This was like a thing that when I heard it, my immediate reaction is that Mick Gordon is an established professional in gaming. You talk about Doom, but also Prey for Arcane Studios. He did that. It would be very surprising to me, and it turns out that this wasn't the case, that he just kind of like half-assed something and just put out this terrible product. Like, that seems like a total lie right from hearing that, if you know anything about his output and his career. And with something as central to like Mick Gordon's career as Doom, right? So like that just from the jump was like, huh? And then obviously he's come out and refuted it. He brought out his receipts, including other stuff about like not getting paid and being forced to work on like super, super tight deadlines, being forced to change like the direction of the soundtrack, them telling him that he had to like, them saying like, we need you to make this song that fits this gameplay section, but the gameplay is not done, but we need that song, like stuff like that. And for all of these things to come out, and I love it when this is the opposite of the Bayonetta situation, where it comes out that it was the worker was in the right. I'm all about that. That's chef kiss. Like the company is in the wrong. Yeah, give me that.
And you got the receipt. And you got the receipts to back
and
yourself up.
He brought that stuff. He brought all of it.
Doesn't it disappoint y'all that this is id Software? I feel like they wouldn't. I don't know. I mean,
Well, I feel like corporate
sucks.
structure is corporate structure. You know, I feel like when
I
you're
just didn't
working
expect it from them, I guess. Like,
It's disappointing to hear. I mean, it's disappointing every time this comes out that your favorite game developers are companies first and foremost for the most part. And it's a lesson that I keep learning, and I'm going to forget it next time, this came out with all the crunch stuff. And I'm like, I love From Software, but stories come out about workplace culture at From Software. And I'm like, that's right. These are companies, first and foremost, they're making money.
Yeah, exactly.
The craziest story out of that I saw, because I read the whole thing just like you, or did you read the whole thing, Dave?
Yeah, I skimmed through it as you were doing the intro there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a long read, but it's definitely really substantial.
Yeah,
I make music on the side. Definitely, it's a side hustle thing. But I made significant, done work with some people. Definitely done contract work. And the part that really got me, that I just got infuriated over, was so he wouldn't get paid for anything that was rejected, right? But they would still use that stuff in like marketing. And they use it in like marketing and promos and stuff, and then be like, yeah, we don't want it for the game. So he wouldn't get paid. And he had to he almost had to go to litigation with them early on because they would reject stuff after they used it for marketing. So he's like, you're using my music and you're not paying me. And he went 11 months without getting a single check from them. And he had to strong on them just to get the money that he was rightly owed for them playing it in the marketing. It's insane. It's honestly an insane situation that I wouldn't wish upon any composer, because when you're working with a company like that's, at the end of the day, like, he's not working for id Software. His check is being signed by ZeniMax.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and he also had a falling out with Bethesda over something. I think it happened with the Prey soundtrack. So, it's again, like ZeniMax. They don't give a shit about a game soundtrack and paying, the person. If they're gonna get out of paying somebody and saving some money because of some loophole in the contract, they're gonna do it.
But that's what's crazy to me, because I could see that for Prey, but I really can't see that for Doom as a franchise, because when I think of Doom personally, I think of kicking ass to zombie slaying music.
You think of Mick Gordon's music.
Yeah, and I think about the music. So I would think that, he's one of the best, taking care of people, because without the music, honestly, the game isn't much.
Yeah, and it's another lesson we keep learning. Like, there are very few people who are really well taken care of in the games industry, no matter how well known they are.
Yeah, I mean, and the main thing that I took from it, so this all stemmed from the fact that the executive producer of the game, Marty Stratton, he put a Reddit post out basically as kind of like a hit piece against Mick Gordon, and kind of rallied a lot of the fans against Mick Gordon for a time, because Mick Gordon didn't have a response at that point in time when he released that. And one of the things he's been asking for this whole time is to get that Reddit post taken down, because whenever somebody Googles his name, that's the first thing that pops up. And I guess for legal reasons, it's not trying to do that, because that would kind of admit fault. Right. So I'm sure their lawyers are saying, don't do that while we're actively litigating. But that's one of the main things he wants. And I'm just looking at just Marty. I had watched another podcast, and somebody pointed out that this is not one of the developers of the game. Like, this is not one of the, like, this is not to disrespect, man, but this is like the guy who's dealing with the spreadsheets and, getting the calculator out, like, he's on the money side of this, not on the creative side. And I'm sorry, like, as somebody, I'm playing Doom Eternal right now, loving it. I'm going to go with the creative people every single time. And the music is one of the most essential parts of Doom.
Yeah. Yep.
And dude has a great track record. So obviously there's his side, other side, and the truth. So I'm sure there's something, that there's yet to be find out. But it's just a really unfortunate situation to me.
It's going to be even more unfortunate when the next Doom game comes out and it's not done by Mick Gordon, because he's out.
Well, they're gonna call it Doom Silence, so they don't have to worry about
Right. Yeah.
Let's see how much it sells.
We'll see. We'll see. Alfredo, you had a
Yes.
surprise question for us, good sir. Why don't you present that surprise
I
question?
did. Okay, we'll keep it short.
Okay.
So my man Dave can go to bed at a respectable hour. So this won't be a debate. We're gonna take a vote. Okay.
Oh my God, what's this question?
A vote for you guys. Don't relax. Everything will be fine. So I have a question for you guys because we're talking about God of War, right? And I have a very simple question for you. It's gonna be a vote. Now I want to know, with video game characters, these two video game characters, who is the better dad? Kratos from God of War 2018 or Joel from The Last of Us? That is the question. Now, before you guys answer, I want to highlight the fact that we're not talking about God of War Ragnarok Kratos, okay? We're not talking about a guy who doesn't call his son boy anymore. We're talking about boy. We're talking about that kind of Kratos, okay, from the very first one. Versus Joel from The Last of Us, okay? I will go first.
Please don't spoil The Last of Us Part 2 for me. I'll just say that.
Oh, yeah. And we're talking about Joel specifically from Last of Us Part 1.
Okay.
Okay, so Part 1's for both games, okay? That's what we're talking about. And my vote would be Joel.
Yeah, hands down, Joel.
Hands down, Joel.
I would go Joel, but it's based on my... I mean, I'm a big God of War fan. In terms of like before God of War 2018. And you cannot call Kratos a good father based on those games.
Well, a father to Atreus. What would you say then?
Just to Atreus?
Yeah.
I'd probably say Kratos in that situation, but it's just like...
Okay.
I don't know, man. I can't excuse like all the stuff. Like maybe we'll go into it after. I don't want to spoil the older games. But Kratos is a good father to Atreus because of his history back in those other games.
Okay. Dave, what do you say?
Yeah, I'm going to side with Thomas and with Matt in the chat. It's Kratos. He's at least, I mean, he's gruff and he's dismissive, but at least he doesn't intentionally mislead Atreus about what's going on. Maybe he doesn't talk a whole lot. I don't think so. I mean, he doesn't talk a whole lot.
By omission, he does.
Exactly.
Like, so if you believe that lies can include things you don't tell somebody, then he's a liar. If you don't believe that, like I don't, just because you don't say something don't mean it's a lie. Then he's a good father.
Wait, I can't. What did he lie about again?
He literally doesn't tell Atreus that he's a god.
No, I'm talking about.
He doesn't
Joel.
tell Atreus about his
Joel?
Past. Oh, Joel. What at the end?
At the end of The Last of Us.
Yeah, the end of The Last of Us. Yeah, but he made the decision to protect her
and lie and straight up lie to her.
He lied right to her face.
Like when she.
What was the question?
I forgot what straight up. Exactly. He lied.
What was the question again? I forgot what it was. Then.
Or is everything you're saying about the Fireflies true? So I just played The Last of Us Part 1, so I know. He was like, and without hesitation, he's like, yes. Yeah. And you see it on her face, like,
yep. Okay. She's like, yep. All right.
But she knows he's lying. In the hardest part, she knows that he's lying to her. So from that perspective, his selfishness was the main catalyst for that.
But you can.
So I would have done the same thing, except I would have told her I would have told the truth. I would have saved her.
Yeah, but that's not the question, Cole. He did it, so they're saying like that makes him bad dad. But I would argue that doesn't Kratos do the same thing though?
No, he always lets
like with his selfishness in that like he doesn't want it. Look, do you guys remember 2018? The man wouldn't even put his hand on his son's shoulder.
He doesn't know how.
Too much for me. This is feeling. It's like what?
He doesn't know how.
Neither would Joel for half of The Last of Us. He would barely talk to Ellie.
Exactly, Dave. But here's the difference. With Joel, we're on this experience with him for like we know Ellie for like a year, right? About a year. Atreus has been in his life for how old is Atreus? 9 years, and
he wasn't raised by, but Faye was the primary parent,
and that's why he's a bad dad, because there's no excuse for that. Like, why were you there?
He has to make do with his relationship with his son at the start of the game.
We got 9 whole years of you choosing to be an absent father. Like, Kratos chose this, and after 9 whole years, you can't even put your hand on his shoulder. Not only that, and Joel can do that after the end of Last of Us, like, he's locked in for Ellie, like, that's his daughter, basically. Kratos can't do that. Not only that, but I don't know if you guys remembered, but Kratos is a bad dad just for the fact that he's letting his kid murder people and not like reeling him in at all. Do you guys remember that scene in 2018 where Loki just starts going crazy? Little psychopath starts stabbing gods and kicking them off ledges, and Kratos just stands there. He's just like, no, I'll wait. I'll let him stab him, and then I'll let him kick him off, and then I'll be like, oh, don't do that.
Doesn't he lecture him about
Kratos,
that afterwards?
Kratos wasn't okay with that.
He does, but then he's like, whatever. And
Kratos is like, we did need those dudes killed.
He does.
Yeah. I mean,
exactly.
These are both the world of God of War and the world of The Last of Us are both worlds where you can't really call morality for killing people. I don't think.
Yeah, like they're attacking him. Now, if we're talking about dads, like I think that Cole's a better dad than both of them.
Yes, I agree.
I hope so. God, guys.
We're not exactly talking about the prime level dads here. You know, they both have a lot of faults.
It's a good question.
They both have a lot of faults with them. I'm only saying Kratos if we're not including like God of War 1, like the original God of War 1. Because if we start including that, Kratos is a horrible father.
Yeah,
but that's for another day.
Right.
I want to thank everybody for listening or watching the Dukes of Gaming podcast. Again, you can listen to us on your favorite podcast service. Watch us live on Twitch and watch us later on YouTube when you have the time. Leave a like, a review, a comment, anything to help support the show. You can even email us at therealdukesofgaming@gmail.com. Have your question read live on air. Hit the bell as well to get notifications on when we release our latest videos. And again, I want to thank our special guest, Dave. Thank you for joining us this week, sir.
Hey, thank you guys for inviting me on. This has been a blast.
It has been an honor. And can you tell everyone where they can follow you and everything?
Yeah. So if you're listening to this on a podcast app, just go ahead and search Tales from the Backlog and you'll find me. It's got a little like caricatured picture of me on there carrying a bunch of video games around. So you can find me on all podcast apps. And if you want to follow me on socials, I am more active on Twitter at TFTBLpod, although who knows what's going to happen with Twitter in the coming weeks and months. But I do enjoy talking to people on Twitter. So come join me there. Also, I'm on Instagram at Tales from the Backlog. Reach out, go to my show, find a game that you like and know really well and just want to kind of relive with us, or find a game that you've never played and you've been interested in, because that's kind of what my show is. It's for you. It's to explain why those games are special, why they're worth playing without spoiling them for you. So again, thank you guys for having me on. This has been such a good time. Glad we could finally make this happen.
Yeah, and I can't wait for that Final Fantasy 9. Your Final Fantasy 9 episode.
It's coming. Yep.
Can't wait.
Stay tuned for that, everybody. We post everywhere, every week. So make sure you start your week right with the Dukes of Gaming podcast. And with all that being said, I bid thee farewell.